Parents, have you ever thought, why are my children not succeeding as much as you would like them to? And these are for all parents in general, but especially those in America, in inner cities, um, around the country, right, who are African descent, black people. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, have you ever sat and thought, like, why is my child struggling? Like, why are my children not performing as well as other children, right? Do you ever think that? So, I thought that for a long time. It just seemed like when you walk in a classroom, even if you're going to volunteer, drop your children off, whatever, it's always a group of students who look like us, who are struggling or either having a hard time paying attention or whatever, right? So I just been observing things like that for the last couple of years. But let me tell you, it's not your fault, right? It's not your fault. It is a system, right? So it's a systemic system. And a lot of people say, oh, we're past that. Okay, well, if you think we're past that, then shame on you, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, we are being educated less, clearly, right? So when you look around in certain fields, you don't see many people who look like us. You look at the technology field, you look at the medical field, and things like that. You may see people, becoming nurses, maybe CNAs. You don't see us as astronauts. When the last time has somebody who looked like you went to the moon, okay? So we just have to sit back and look at those things. And I just want to draw a point home for me and my children. So I went to the Oakland public school system, right? So at that time, I felt like something was wrong with me. I felt like I was slower. Now, there were some intelligent black kids around me. One girl, she was just so bright. I don't know where she is, but really smart, and I wasn't performing as well as I thought I should. My brother was in gate classes, all type of stuff. But anyway, so by the time I got out of junior high, my math teacher, science teacher was not there. I didn't get the information I needed, but I got put in high school anyway. I was not ready. I wasn't prepared for high school. So I'm in high school. I'm performing. I don't know what's going on, period. So I'm going to school every day. But the good thing about a mind and students, like, we catch up, right? So it didn't matter, right? So I was behind because my foundation wasn't laid properly, but I was learning something. But had I got the solid foundation of math, of the math fundamentals and the science fundamentals that I needed in high school, it would have made it a lot easier. Needless to say, I did not graduate, but I did go on to Job Corps and did some other things. And it just discouraged me. Like, I wasn't interested in school as much as I like. They did have a program at my high school that helped. And I had a great math teacher and things like that. And they helped me, as best they could. But I just wasn't there. So here my son, fast forward 14 years, more than 14, like 24 years later, my son is going to high school this year. So I have been determined the last 4 or 5 years, I'm catching up, to be more involved in my son's education and what he has going on, because I just see certain things that I didn't get. My mother, she was a hard worker. She raised children, grandchildren, so she did the best that she could. So I have went to the school last year, and my son had he was there. This was his second year, and so I met with the teachers, his principals, and I kind of explained to him where he was academically, the type of personality he had, and like what he needed, possibly, like, to just even if I didn't expect them to stop their classroom, but I asked them to, like, tell me, right? Because if my son is coming home saying he doesn't have homework, how can I know if he's doing homework if he's saying he doesn't and they're not communicating with me? So they had this online system where you could look at the assignments he turned in, but at that point it's too late, right? Because he was supposed to have turned those in already. So by the time they get through grading them, all 6 of their periods, and uploading all the children's assignments, they probably 6 or 7 assignments behind. So my son was not doing as well as I would have liked. So I had the meeting. Fast forward toward the end of the year, it still didn't help because he's still struggling. Now I know my child. I said, this is how I test my children. Read to me. Show me what you know, especially when it comes to math. I want them to teach me what they know, because if you can teach it, that means you've learned it, right? So if you cannot teach it, you do not know it. And so my son would struggle where he didn't know how. So I knew that he didn't have what he needed. So this is his first year as a freshman. I took it upon myself to get him a tutor, great tutoring program, not a tutor who says, bring your homework and I'll do it with you. They have curriculum outlined to strengthen his math skills from elementary math all the way up to the highest math, whatever that may be, past calculus. I don't know. I'm not good at math. I can count. I can do the basics though. So I had to do that. But when I sit back and see that my son is the same place that I was in 24 years prior, then I know that there's something strategically going on. And there is something else that is behind the scenes, and not just me, because I pay attention to even the children who have graduated high school. My friends' daughters, cousins, people who have graduated school, some of them are not intellectually inclined. Half of them can barely write a paper worth something, and to expect these people to go to school and to graduate in high honors and be in real global competition is unheard of when they are not getting a real education. You have many teachers out here who pat your child on the back and say, they're trying. No, I don't want my child to try. I want my baby to succeed and to be one of the best at what it is that he chooses to do. Okay. And so I was just thinking about, everywhere that you look, there's just so much going on. I went to my younger children's classroom, and most of the time majority of the time they're coloring, they're painting, they're doing activities. They have a couple of little things they do, but they're doing some type of art activity. Oh, and holidays, I hate it. Holidays, they're always cutting out something. It's like, have you not had enough of baptizing your children into American holidays? That's cool. But we're talking about a global competition when it comes to education. Mathematics, science, and technology is going nowhere, period. And you have to be able to read and write to be able to get that far. And I spoke with a teacher or someone told me that if a teacher has 40% of their class to obtain the material, they feel like they are doing good. So those are our standards, right? But I go to my children's class, they're cutting out hearts on Valentine's Day, turkeys around Thanksgiving, Christmas trees around Christmas, just stuff like that. It's like, what did that have to do with educating my child? People know how to play in general. That's easy. We play all the time. They need to learn to discipline themselves and educate themselves. I don't need my child up here pasting and gluing all day long, okay? Teach them something. And then it's a behavior, they're redirecting the child's behavior, because what they do is they go from walking through the hallways, put your fingers up in the air. They have them put their 2 fingers up in the air, or they have their hands behind their back or their hands to their side, and they have to walk through the hallways and be quiet. This is what they do with these children. You are redirecting their behavior, honey. You are not teaching them. You are training them as animals, right? To me, if they're in class, line up at the door, be quiet, hold your hand up like this when you're walking through the hallway with the bunny signs, and I'm like, and then they go from the desk to the floor, sitting on the carpet in the square with their legs crossed, like 3 or 4 times a day. These children go from the floor, being read to the desk and it's just like, what are you doing? And some children get it and some children do not. Most of the children who don't get it are black kids. They land on the carpet. They just like, what is going on? And then they the ones always get in trouble because of the foolishness. What the hell are these children going from the carpet to the chairs for? Carpet to the chairs. Why are you training them? Teach them. Stop trying to direct these kids' behavior. Like, it's ridiculous. So I was never into it like that. I was not as active as I should have been, and I was not as alert or aware as to my surroundings, and especially the surroundings of my children. Parents, pay attention to your children's education. Go sit in a class one day. See how the teachers interact with your babies. Look at what they are doing and get involved with whatever it is. And then if you can see how they are structuring these classrooms, when a teacher or someone calls you, or when your child comes home from school, you can undo the systemic brainwashing or whatever it is that is in place to make our children fail. You can counter that. So by me looking and seeing how they interact with my children, when my children are at home in my face, in my space, then I'm in their ear all day long. And I break things down to them because it's easy for you to teach your child through their life experiences, right? So if you can see what your child is experiencing in class and you can take that experience and break it down to them, so they will be more aware and alert. They will take their education much more seriously. Okay, at some point. But you have to explain to them. Don't just tell them go to school, listen to the teacher. Listen to the teacher for what? This could be a teacher who has nowhere in their heart their best interest. They could care less if these children succeed. They're here to get a check, or just to observe the way that they interact. So I'm just sharing that, looking at the school system that I grew up in, looking at the school system my children are in, looking at the condition, the economic and educational, just looking at where American blacks are, period. It's like we've been here for over 300 plus years. You have families and cultures and ethnicities who have been here 100 years plus. Not hating on them, more power to them. That's what they're supposed to do. They have built and created a wonderful economic system for them and their culture and their family. And here we are, the most inclusive culture there is, welcoming and embracing to everyone. But we are failing, and we lack the foundation that we need to survive. It makes no sense that we've been here the longest, but yet we are the most neglected or oppressed. Like, we desegregated the schools, but our children get a shitty education. It's crazy. It is really crazy. Like, seriously, the children's education is shitty. You look back in the 50s and 60s and all of that, it seemed like shit. They was getting a great education. We had astronauts and scientists. We had so many doctors, so many people with a business mind, and all of that. And it's like today is, it's all about what I have on, what I look like. Nobody is really thinking that far. Yes, they're thinking about securing the bag, getting the money, but the education and the knowledge has lacked. It's more about just giving the people what they want. And it's like the children need more. They need to know, because everybody is not going to be an entertainer. Everybody is not going to be an athlete. Everybody is not going to be a dancer. And we have brains, we have organs and everything else like any other ethnicity and any other culture. Okay, there's nothing different between us and any other culture in this world, except that our minds are not where they need to be. So think on that.